drinking probably is.
Virtual water.
They'll be launching our satellite from the International Space Station.
So it will be about this big.
Yeah, it's very, it's very close.
It's not large.
Oculus being acquired by Facebook. Microsoft gonna launch something called HoloLens. All these big words really get attention for the mainstream people.
Hello and welcome to Crossover. I'm Yi Shu in Beijing, and today I'm joined by a very special guest host and old friend of Crossover, Joanna Wei.
Thank you.
Joanna is the founder of the Beijing Makerspace and is also probably one of the most active people that I know who's involved in emerging technologies.
Yeah.
So, Joanna, we did so many shows years about mobile technology. That seemed to be what everybody was talking about 2-3 years ago, even last year. But somehow in 2016, whenever I check my news feeds, there's always something about the development in virtual reality. It's like one of the most popular buzzwords these years.
That's
this
true.
Year.
That's
What's
true.
happening?
Well, actually, I've been so surprised for this year. At the very beginning, I was in the States at that time. So all my friends calling me, Joanna, come back. Something happening in China. Everybody talking about virtual reality. Especially everybody expects it's going to be the next big thing for the technology world. So, as I'm running Makerspace, it's pretty much like a tinker studio for innovator.
Right.
It's a big hub for all this entrepreneurs for hardware. So I haven't heard about this word, virtual reality.
Right, you're a pioneer as a makerspace,
kind of,
right?
Yeah. So actually started 3 years ago. The first virtual reality company in China is called AntVR. They're actually over member of Makerspace. When they just brought this, headset to me, it's a prototype. I was like, what is it? And they gave me such a crazy experience.
3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Okay.
So the first time I kind of have this very crazy experience about virtual reality, how the virtual world can interact with the real world. So I've been surprised at that time. But nowadays, it's like all the great people here, the industry's getting bigger, more people get involved. So I'm really happy about it.
Right,
Yeah.
and I could tell how big this topic just is because this is probably one of my largest panels so far on Crossover, and there are many more guests that we could have invited here. But before I introduce our guests, I want us all to take a look at this clip.
Oh my goodness, these guys are so cool.
Look behind you, Kyra. Order up.
Bacon? Oh no.
Is that how you cook for your family at home, human?
It's burned.
Eat those donuts, Travis. Get them. Get those donuts. Look at this thing.
Yes.
So you gotta keep with the beat. Oh, that was good! All right, okay, by all the comments I was hearing in the studio, all 4 of you have seen these games or actually played them before. I want to introduce our panel today. We have Young Lei, who is Managing Director of Northern Light Venture Capital. Welcome.
Thank you.
We have Chris Shi, who is the founder of Yuzin's company, which is based in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Ryan Holmes, who is CEO of Space VR. And we have Chen Qiufan, who is the VP of Noitam. Welcome, the 4 of you. Thank you for being on Crossover. All of you are involved in this new technology called VR, or virtual reality. And for somebody who's very ignorant on the topic, what exactly is VR? How do you define it?
I think there's now we live in the physical world, right? Everything is real, but the boundary between the physical world and the virtual world, the world that is not real, is actually being removed now. So you can imagine in the future that you're fully immersed in an environment, in a classroom, in the space, or in the top of the Everest mountain. But everything around you is not real. But what you see, what you hear, seems to be real. That's virtual reality.
Right.
And on top of that, you will also see that the virtual world and the real physical world are commingled together. So, I'm drinking a cup of tea, but in the future, what I'm picking up probably is a virtual cup,
Right.
and what I'm drinking probably is
The point.
it's
Virtual water.
Yeah.
Virtual water.
virtual currency, probably.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the world that we're going to see in the next 5 to 10 years.
Just mind-boggling to me. I mean, the intro clip. You know, I don't feel like even our viewers can really truly experience VR without trying on a headset for the first time. You know, I want to ask the three of you, the first time you put on one of these, I guess they're called HMDs, head-mounted devices.
Yep.
You know, even you, Joanna, like, what did you feel?
Well, it's a whole new experience. I remember the first time I tried it, it was like years ago. Probably it was a very simple Google Cardboard, but still, it brought me to the whole new world, and I saw dinosaur and other stuff. It's completely different experience. So I agree with Lei. It's truly immersive, but from that point, we realized that the missing point from that demo is interaction. So that also become our direction in the past 3 years.
Right, because Usions, as a company, you're working on how you can interact
right.
with that virtual world.
Right.
Chofan, you're actually a very famous science fiction
Not
writer,
really.
a novelist
You are.
here in China.
Yeah.
You know, how does this development in VR, I guess, coincide with what your visions were for the future?
Yeah, actually, virtual reality is not a new concept in science fiction. Like back to 1932 in The Brave New World, like Aldous Huxley, he described HMD things in like 22nd century. So already been there. But right now we have this like consumer-facing product. And the first time I remember I put on Gear VR, Samsung Gear VR. So it definitely blew me away, right? It's just like science fiction came true.
Is this
Yeah.
one of the most transformative technologies
Yeah,
that we'll
just like
see
in the Matrix.
in this era, in our generation?
Oh, you
I
Matrix,
believe.
yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
More than mobile technology.
Definitely, yes.
Really?
It's going to be the next generation of computing platform.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what has been said, right?
So earlier we saw a clip, that was Steam VR, which is an entertainment platform, and they have different games or content that you can interact with. And Ryan, you are the CEO of a company called Space VR, and you are creating this type of content. Tell us about your story.
Our company is focused on allowing people to go to a place that none of us can, and that's space. It all started with me watching a documentary about astronauts going to space. And every time astronauts talk about going to space, they all talk about a life-changing experience. And they all describe that as a very physical sensation, as something that really hits them hard. And so after that happens, they start to think differently. They start to understand that the Earth's resources are limited, and that our behavior around that fact is almost unacceptable. And so I started this company because I wanted to do something really impactful for the world.
So at your feet is
Yes.
a
Yep.
prototype of a satellite
Yes.
that you plan on launching into space so
Yeah.
that all of us can experience what it's like to be an astronaut. Is that right?
Exactly. So this is our prototype satellite. It's called Overview 1, based on the life-changing experience that I was talking about. It's actually referred to as the Overview effect. And so this is called the Overview 1. And so they'll be launching our satellite from the International Space Station.
So it will be about this big
yeah,
in
no,
terms
it's
of size.
it's very close.
It's not
to this.
large.
Yeah,
It's not a big piece
it's
of
very
machinery.
small.
This
Right.
is actually a new trend in satellite as well.
That's
Yeah.
true.
So it's called nano satellite.
I think the only way that we can see where we're going to go with that satellite is to take a look at this video clip.
The Overview 1 is a stereoscopic 3D virtual reality camera designed to capture a live 360-degree view of its surroundings, showing you the world from an astronaut's perspective.
One of the experiences we will capture will be from the cupola module. It is the viewing port for the International Space Station. From it, you can see the entire Earth at once. The experience that we create will be available on every VR platform, from Oculus to mobile devices.
That's so cool! That was life-changing. So virtual reality can potentially take us to places where
Everywhere.
we're right now incapable of going.
In reality and even beyond.
Beyond your imagination.
And this is the power of VR.
Yeah.
Why has this all of a sudden become such a big buzzword? I mean, you know, Chris, you said you first put on a headset 3 years ago. You also said 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, it seemed like last year I wasn't even really hearing about virtual reality, but all of a sudden in the last, 2016 came along in February or March, and all of a sudden I hear it almost every day. Why is that?
There's so many big words about like Oculus being acquired by Facebook. Microsoft gonna launch something called HoloLens. All these big words really get attention for the like mainstream people that are paying attention, and then media talk about it, and more people are getting interviewed.
So I got to ask, those of you who've been in the industry for somewhat, were you just waiting for this to essentially, the tipping point to happen and all the attention to be focused on VR?
I think that the people that have done that are real strong people, like the people that have been in VR for a long time, because it is only recently that it's been taking off.
Sure.
And so I'm not that strong. So I started this company about 1.5 years ago.
Well, that's a great question. Chris, when did you start your company?
We started like 2.5 years ago, but one of the co-founders, our CTO, he has been in this area for more than 10 years.
How about Noitam? How long have you been in
like
business?
3.5 years for the company, but actually our CEO and CTO, they have very strong technology background for over 10 years in robotic and also WE and also some like mechanism.
And when we come back from a short break, we're going to see video clips of both the products that Noitam and Uzens are involved in. But before we go there, Yang Lei, I want to ask you, when, as a venture capitalist, these companies could not survive without money over the last 3 years or even, what you said, 10 years. So as a venture capitalist, when did you start paying attention to VR?
I think VR has been actually a concept for a long time. But really to make this more an investable theme, I think this is only in the last, I would say, 2-3 years to start it to see the inflection point. I think from our perspective, we're looking at what are the technology are going to trigger explosive growth of, let's say, for example, in the VR. So the computing platform, the display, and the sensors in the past 5 to 10 years have developed so fast. So I think it's really like 3 years ago, these things are all kind of merged together to create an experience of VR that other people had not expected in the past.
So all of the people who are working in VR, and I think it's well represented here. You have the content developers, you have hardware with Chris, we have motion capture with Qiu Fan, all converging together to create this experience, that's finally, like you said, hitting an inflection point. All right, back, we're going to see what Noitam and Uzens is all about. They're some of the most advanced developers in VR. Please stay tuned.
We provide gesture control, position tracking, and environment sensing.
What does that mean for somebody like me? So if my hands shake, my cup will shake too.
Your cup will shake too. The water will shake as well.
Unfortunately. China is kind of like a market-driven, but in Silicon Valley, it's a technology-driven.
And it was quite surprising to me that the Chinese market is moving a lot faster than the American market in VR.
All right, and welcome back to Crossover, where we're talking about this hot new technological development, which is virtual reality. Joanna, in the last segment, you told me that 3 years ago you were in Silicon Valley, and everybody in Beijing was calling you to come back because of what's been happening in virtual reality here in China. How did this all get started in China?
Well, I think the very beginning, as all this, guys mentioned, is like about 2 and 3 years ago, people starting to get noticed about virtual reality can be something, the future basically, like I know Craze, I know MVR, all this company, they're approaching me. It's like, hey, Joanna, we want to do some, prototype about a virtual reality. So for some company, they start doing their prototype at my makerspace because we have a very small, heavy-duty machine rooms and prototype rooms. So we start from very beginning, and then we launched the products on Kickstarter, and we got the early adopters, and then from that point, so more and more companies start getting to know this, industry and get involved.
One of these companies, you did mention Chris.
Yeah, we did a Kickstarter.
Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we both launched project on
Yes.
Kickstarter.
Yeah, we will. Yeah.
That's
also,
me too.
and Space
all of
VR.
them.
Right, and of course, Space VR was started in San Francisco. We saw the demo earlier. Chris, tell me about what your company does.
It provides 3D interaction solutions for AR and VR.
Okay.
So basically, we provide gesture control, position tracking, and environment sensing.
Yeah.
What does that mean for somebody like me?
If you have in the virtual world, you need to touch stuff, right? You need to feel stuff. You need to see your finger, and you need to interact with the virtual object with your finger, with your hand, and you need the system to know your own position while you are moving. So we integrate all that features into one module.
Right.
So put that in front of your helmet. So that module is going to be cross-platform. So no matter it's a AR helmet or a VR helmet. So we're going to provide the solution.
Right, because I've seen, in that clip, we did see people with that, I think it was the HTC Vive helmet, and they had controllers.
They have a controller to
Right.
interact. Right. So with our technology, you can throw that away. And then you can interact with stuff with your bare hands.
Cho-Fan earlier talked about motion capture.
Yes.
How does that get involved in VR?
Our product is called Perception Neuron.
How much money did you raise on Kickstarter?
Like $600,000 US.
Wow.
It's the history record.
For
back
Chinese,
in that
like,
year. In China.
For a Chinese team?
Yeah,
for Chinese
for
team,
Chinese
yeah.
team.
It's really high.
Yeah, so we realized that over 40% of our backers, they're using for like VR development
They're
for
developers.
content. So we think that the new thing is already coming. Very simple,
I'm definitely
haptic.
feeling my age because this all seems very futuristic to me. Let's take a look at what your company does.
Yeah.
Actually, the first time I put on a HMD, I
Motion
wasn't.
sickness, right?
I had motion sickness after. Not while I was wearing it, but after. Was that your experience too?
Yeah, kind of.
So what's happening with the technology?
I think your head is moving.
Yeah.
Ideally, the image should change as your head moving.
Right.
But somehow there's a delay.
Delayed.
So your head is actually moving faster than the computer can calculate the change of the display. So that's what's happening. It's a pretty tough problem, actually, to solve.
When will it be resolved? You guys are all working on this. When will this be resolved?
It's different parts of the value chain, and I think Noiteng's working on it. I think like company like Usense and Qualcomm are also working on it.
I think we're 2 big releases away from that being fully
not too
resolved.
far away.
Yeah. Okay.
Not too far. 3 years probably. Something like that.
Yang Lei, you've seen and you actually know of all of these 3 companies. As an investor, what do you think?
I think these are very
You're an investor too.
Yeah, we do.
amazing companies actually. Because I've seen the development of Noiteng and Usense, right? The fundamental technology for Noiteng is motion capture, and for Usense is gesture recognition.
Yep.
Right. The fundamental technology has been their pursuit for many years. Even before the founders started this company, they're working on the technology. And so very strong technology foundation, but I also see that they're not only developing the technology, but they're also adapting to the change of the industry. Like Noitong's talking about, so initially there's a golf swings, right?
Yeah.
So these, and now it's becoming motion capture for Hollywood movies and motion capture for VR contents, right? You can imagine, let's say, I'm doing this talk with you, right? With Noitong, it's been captured and replayed as
Avatar.
Kung Fu Panda.
Oh,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's the power of
most
the
important use
power
case.
of the and in reality world, actually you can change from a Kung Fu Panda to Pokemon, right? To
the turtle guy.
right. It's very simple. It's just that's the power of that.
Wu-Gui.
And I think U-Sense also is very. What I'm pretty amazed is the preciseness, the accuracy. So when you really look into their technology, is that when you move your finger,
shake it.
it will actually
the precision of the movement.
precision is somewhere like a fraction of a millimeter.
Wow.
Fraction of a millimeter. It's like hair. The precision is basically
Even
the thickness of your hair, right?
Right.
So that's the precision you will have when you pick up a cup here.
The cup will shake.
This is the virtual cup. This is the real hand.
So if my hands shake, my cup will shake
your cup will
too.
shake too.
Yeah.
The water will shake as well.
Unfortunately.
I think on the technology, it's pretty amazing. And
Right.
on the other side is, I think there's also business model.
Of course.
Business model innovations, right? I think they're getting into education, get into some of the bring this to classroom, bring this to some of the retail shops, right? Kids can interact and
Digital showrooms.
so that I think that's what Chinese is not only good at technology innovation, but also at
Business
good
model.
at business model innovation.
Right. Well, because you need to be able to be a viable business
That's
and
right.
to
That's
monetize
true.
the technology.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So it's like the mindset is actually so somehow I think Chinese managed to merge technology and business together very well in many situations, right? That's why in mobile internet we're probably one of the most advanced nation in the world now.
So you feel like Chinese do that better than anybody else?
Well, I cannot say that. I think there's
Ryan, what do you think?
I think China has strengths, right? But at the same time, I think Silicon Valley also has. I invest on both sides, Silicon Valley and here.
That's a
I
smart
think
move.
Silicon Valley also has developed some really amazing technologies, and the team, the quality of the team, and the ecosystem is actually really impressive. So you will be able to see some of the latest development in technology actually over there. That's probably why you guys have offices in Silicon Valley.
It started
R&D
from
center.
Silicon Valley, actually.
Right. It started from Silicon Valley,
Yes,
right? In
yeah.
terms of the hardware development.
Yeah.
That's true.
And then we go to market here.
Yeah, that's true.
You go to market here, so China will be your largest
First
market
stop,
First market.
for
Yeah.
virtual
Of
reality.
course, I totally agree with Lei, because China is kind of like a market-driven, but in Silicon Valley, it's a technology-driven.
Ryan, Qiufan, do you agree?
Yeah, totally. Because right now we have a lot of demands here in different industries, so we have integrate our technology into different verticals. So we can see already a lot of customers waiting there, just waiting for our products and technology to be realized and then monetized.
Money.
I mean, Chinese people are just crazy about technology.
That's true.
Yeah, and willing to pay for early. They're willing to be early adopters,
Actually,
right?
I think on the Kickstarter, because
Right.
we can tell the different, buyers from which country. We see majority of them, they're from China.
Yeah.
Wow,
buyer.
early
interesting.
adopters.
Ryan, I know you've been spending more time here in China. Why?
Frequent
Why?
flyer
Why are
now.
you coming to China so often?
My first time in China was about a month ago, and since then I've been here 4 times. It's really wonderful. The food is really great. People are amazing. Yeah, so I've noted the reason I've been coming back so much is because I've noticed, and it was quite surprising to me that the Chinese market is moving a lot faster than the American market in VR. And I think it has to do with the cultural difference, particularly around gaming. In China, you can meet an older woman and she'll have several games, like hardcore games, on her cell phone. And in America, you just will never see that.
That's
You'll
true.
never see an older woman playing like Gears of War or like some hardcore
They don't
game
even
on
have
her
a
phone.
smartphone, maybe.
But here, the culture is much more accepting of gaming, and it's more on both sexes. So male and female are both play games a lot. In America, it's only males, predominantly males, and so I think that culture is branching over to VR, and it's just taking off.
Is it because, you know, I kind of want to dive into this a little bit deeper. Is this because Chinese people are really looking to immerse themselves into something that's different from reality? I mean, you know, go to all of these different places. You know, what's happening?
I think Chinese are, so if you look at the world, right? In every part of the world, there's very good Chinese businessmen.
Right.
Chinese have very good nose. So the nose actually, you can say, oh, very good nose. But the other thing you can say is a vision for the future.
Yep.
Right.
So I think so we see a lot of U.S. companies, startups, right, are thinking about China as their
First stop.
Either first stop or this is a market they cannot avoid.
Yes, right.
So we've seen some U.S. company when they're doing Kickstarter launch or their own product launch, they realize like 30%, 20% of the customer from China.
Right.
They're making orders through internet.
Right.
So so they realize even they do nothing, they get 20 to 30%. So China is a big market, so they have to find partners and try to get into this market. So that's one of the things that we actually really like to do as well, is sometimes making investment in a U.S. company and help it to be successful in China, finding partners in China to grow together.
Right. Well, and the sheer number of people here in China, it's a huge market. All right, well, this is absolutely fascinating. When we come back, we're going to talk more about this emerging technology, virtual reality. Please stay with us.
How about heart? You can see it's beating.
That's so cool. So you can rotate it and look at it 360 degrees.
Yes.
I think we will see something really magnificent in 3 to 5 years.
As a science fiction writer, so I'm not that optimistic.
Right,
I always see the dark side of future.
Welcome back to Crossover, where we're talking about the latest developments in virtual reality. Before the break, we were talking about how virtual reality has developed in China and in the US, and I guess around the world, right? Because there are many different companies around the world that are engaged in this technology. You know, we talked about immersive technology. So, you know, when I put on the headset, I was transported to this mountaintop. Wonderful. Okay, but aside from the entertainment aspects, what are some other applications where VR can really make a big impact? Chofan?
Yeah. For me, like education should definitely be the next big thing, big area for VR application, because right now, as you can see, it's very Chinese characteristic, like the environment, like the cause of traffic, like the safety. It's all caused around this education thing, because if we have the VR classroom, in the future, everyone can take classes at home.
So you're talking about potentially this global virtual classroom where children from different parts of the world could be touching and interacting with the same thing, right?
Yeah, we definitely could do that.
Is that happening? I mean, that's a possibility in the future. Is it happening now?
VR collaboration. I think that's a very hot topic this year.
Ryan, do you see what you're doing as being a potential teaching tool?
Yeah, absolutely. We have someone that's going to be focusing on building our content into curriculum for schools. Some things that we're thinking about is like allowing kids to learn about countries as they float over them in space.
Absolutely. Oh, now this is going to be a huge transformative piece of technology for our classrooms. Although I have to say, I can't imagine having my children go to a school where they're just going to be wearing a headset all day or eating.
It's going to be very good for their eyes.
All right. Well, we have one of China's most advanced content developers here in the studio today. It's a company called Surreal, and they're going to give us a demonstration of their simulation of the human body. Let's check it out together.
Okay, hi guys. I'm Zhu Yidi, the CTO of Surreal company. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Now I'm going to introduce our new virtual reality project. It's about VR in education, and we call it a VR biochemical education platform. So let's start from human body system. Our technicians here, please. So when you put the VR headset on, you will find you are standing in the lab. And there is a male body in front of you.
Look at.
Now we are going to decompose him and drag one by one. First the skin.
Wow.
Wow, so you're peeling away the skin.
And
oh my God.
skeleton.
That's bloody.
Scary.
Oh, skeleton.
Skeleton next.
Nice.
Muscles.
Muscle.
Muscles. And immune system. And here is my favorite part, the internal organs. Now you can pick the lung up and observe the detail. How about heart? You can see it's beating.
That's so cool. So you can rotate it and look at it 360 degrees.
Yes. If you select the digestive system, you will find there are some organs highlighting. Okay, that's all for this
Very
demo.
cool. I could see this being a great, like you said, educational tool.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's another demo.
Besides that, we also have a protein molecule. You can observe the different forms of
Wow.
Where is that?
of protein, such as the cartoon surface, and how about the spheres?
Binding sites. Oh,
That's a molecule.
that's a yes. Your model.
Okay, that's all for our demo.
Pretty cool.
Thank you so much. It's very cool, right?
Very
I mean,
good
this
picture
is
lab.
Impressive.
Impressive.
this will make a difference when it comes to education.
Definitely.
Definitely.
I mean, transformative.
3D structures, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Hard to memorize those parts, but now you can see it.
Yes.
UD, can you tell me a bit about the story behind Surreal and the company?
We did this from last year and with an American Research Institute, and they come to us, expected us to develop a VR project. They were satisfied with this result, and they thought that could be very powerful tools for their research. And so far, the demo of this project has been showed in lots of universities, like China Medical University, Nankai University, and so on. So for Surreal, VR is not only for games, but also education. That's all. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
UD.
Thank you.
So, Yang Lei, I'm going to ask you because you come from the investment perspective. What did you think about what we saw? And of course, they're gone, so you can say whatever you want.
I think this represents what a future classroom is going to look like. This is, I think, imagine that in a remote area where you probably won't be able to afford a complex chemical lab, but you still will be able to play around with the molecules. You'll be able to dissect, study the different physical parts of the body, right? I think this will break the physical boundary of the classroom, allow more advanced contents being delivered to everywhere, basically.
So aside from education, where are we going to see virtual reality kind of come into our normal daily lives?
I think for me, the entertainment part is very attractive.
Yeah.
Same part, yeah. Same part, real and real estate. I think we're gonna see a lot of industries is gonna adopt this technology.
Also retail.
Retail.
Alibaba launched their Buy Plus.
Buy Plus.
Buy Plus.
Yeah, it's very famous Buy Plus.
Yeah.
Right. All of these companies are still in a small stage. I mean, in terms
Early
of
stage.
early stage,
Yeah.
early stage in terms of investment
Yeah.
and building up the enterprise. But we have big companies. We have venture capitals like yourself,
yes.
and we have big companies like Baidu, Alibaba, Tencent, the VAT companies that are heavily invested.
That's right.
Again, this type of long-term vision. Is what they're after, yeah? Even Lenovo has been starting investment.
That's true.
Can you tell me a bit about
I think almost everyone's looking at this space. So if you look into some of the company we invested, In US, for example, a lot of the big brands are doing that together with VCs. Jaunt is a content platform. Disney's an investor of the company. If you look at some of the most, I wouldn't call the names, there's under confidentiality, but some of the most famous Chinese and US directors are working with them to producing contents.
Right.
Right. So if we look into Meta, an AR company we invested, it's the Lenovo and one of the biggest internet company in China. I won't call the names, invested as well. Yeah.
So you mentioned this company called Meta because
Yes,
we've been talking about this concept of AR before. You know, we're hearing VR, we're hearing AR, virtual reality and augmented reality. What's the difference between the two?
I think AR is a way to really get what I say the hybrid virtual world and physical world together.
Right.
So when I first look at Meta's demo, I was completely blown away.
Okay, I want to stop you because I actually want our viewers to get to experience exactly what you experienced. Let's take a look at this demo.
That we've created. We are no longer confined by the sizes of our screens that sit on our desks or in our pockets. We are now able to make the entire world our desktop background.
This kind of a product represents a new era in personal computing and nothing less. And these kinds of paradigm shifts happen very, very rarely. So to all you developers out there, this is your chance to change the way that we work, we learn, we shop, and we play. Join us in this brand new meta reality.
So back to feeling very futuristic. I mean, this looks like Tony Stark and Iron Man. What excites you more, virtual reality or augmented reality?
I think both.
Tough question. Yeah.
Both.
Yeah.
I think the
It's kind of
future,
different,
two things will merge together.
Yeah,
exactly.
they'll be the
They'll be-
same thing eventually.
Yeah, they'll be the one thing.
Like,
It's like because we have this the term called mixed reality or super reality. That's what we call that. Because for virtual reality, you isolate yourself, like with from the real world. But with augmented reality, you are actually inside the real world. You are between the boundary, right?
Yeah.
So if you wanted to do something, you want to interact with the real world, you want to wear a augmented reality glass. But if you wanted to sit down, just enjoy your own moment, that's the time you go find your VR helmet, right? So we believe that in future, people will need both. So we're gonna put the both thing in one helmet.
So if you're going to use mobile as an analogy, like where are we in terms of all this VR, AR technology?
I don't know if you guys remember the iPod, the first product, right? The Steve Jobs saying you can put 1,000 music in your pocket.
The very first, the big one.
The big one
that was about this big, right.
About this big, right? 1,000 songs in your pocket.
It was bulky. And
It was bulky. But at that time, so this is the future.
Right.
I think we're at that stage, and I'm out somewhere 3 to 5 years. 3 to 5 years
2007,
after that, right? So I think we will see something really magnificent in 3 to 5 years.
And how much
from there, the world will be very different.
How much do you think this magnificence is going to cost me to experience?
I think you're probably the more richer class. We will try to cost
I need a discount.
as much as possible.
10,000 maybe.
And I invest, I'll get a discount.
I will give you an investor discount code. We typically have that, actually.
Let's talk about, we've been talking about the positive aspects of VR and AR, but once again, I take a look at some of the photos that I see, and I see a room full of people with these VR headsets. They're not interacting with each other. You're no longer physically touching or hugging. You're virtually touching. What does this mean for our future society? I mean, will people be even more isolated from each other?
I think a lot of those red flags are over-exaggerated. I mean, all of us spend our entire work days on computers, and then we go home to spend our home life on computers.
Cell phone.
And if that replaces that time, it's still going to be as good of a quality of life as we have right now.
But is our current quality of life a good quality of life when we're all looking at phones or?
That's a very good question.
Our time get really fragmented today, right? So you're realizing your time is like 15 seconds, 15 seconds.
Right.
Because of the iPhone. At least you need to put the helmet on. So probably will stay there for, you won't put it on and
immersive.
So it's I think it's when you want immersion, you use VR.
Yeah.
And when you want interaction, you want to talk to someone. I won't believe that I'll talk to my wife every day using the helmet. That would be why get married? You can get married to a virtual
AI.
Right? Well, a lot of science fiction films have talked about that. Yeah.
There's actually a company in San Francisco working on that.
That is developing something like that in the movie Her. Is that what you're?
Yeah, Her. Yeah.
As a science fiction writer, so I'm not that optimistic.
Right.
I always see the dark side of future.
Yes. That's what you wrote about.
Because one example I always love to talk about is like Avatar. It's on the movie Avatar. So like once you get too immersive and you get addicted to that another life, that beyond reality. So because human has limited, but in the virtual world you have no limitation. The only limitation is your imagination.
Right.
So you can do anything. Like if you are like you can change your gender, change your species, change your appearance, your power or anything, or even the gravity. So you can do anything you want. So that would be super addictive. Right now, like the gamers, they're already super addicted, but in the future, like in the virtual reality, it will be more addictive.
So with these virtual and augmented reality, we get further and further away from reality and exactly who we are.
That's a possibility.
So there is a danger of that. I mean, even social media today.
Right?
There's been articles talking about social media and how social media, you're your social media persona versus who you are in real life. And Joanne, how do you see all this?
Well, I think, we talked about the social VR last time on the conference of GIC. So I think social VR is kind of like something like you want to know somebody that you never can know like in your daily life. It's kind of provide a new possibility. But for me, because personally speaking, I prefer to talk to my friend like this. It's more interactive and more, immersive experience like this.
And I guess it just all has to do with how we start introducing these types of technologies and letting people be aware. I mean, you're right. I mean, I would love to do nothing more than to sit here and talk for another 45 minutes, but unfortunately our time is up for today. Thank you. All of you, all five of you for being here. Today we're really talking about something that 5 years ago was unimaginable, and today it's reality. Thank you, all five of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you to our viewers at home for tuning in. We'll see you next weekend on Crossover. Bye for now.